Hello, lovely people. How are all of my fellow book lovers doing? Did you have a good Easter? I hope you did. I did. It was nice. So I'm here today at midnight. Technically it's Wednesday now. Yeah, it's just been a busy day. I've not had the chance to be able to film. And today I am going to be doing my May TBR. And I cannot believe we're at that time of the year, or month already. So yeah, I have a bit of confession to make. I think I'm struggling with doing proper TBRs. So today I'm gonna officially do what a lot of people call a pile of possibilities. I am just finding it's burning me out having a select number of books. And now obviously, even when I have done those books, I could always swap them out. I didn't have to read them all. But because it was such a specific amount, I was just struggling. And part of that might be just because I'm slumping. I was slumping a bit from March's, are we in April? Yeah, March's TBR, partly because of Rebecca, because it was so slow and so big of a book, or at least my version. Oh, just so you know, I went to Waterstones, and a dangerous thing to do, and I saw Rebecca, and I was like, oh, let's have a look how many pages this version has. And it was just a standard size paperback, nothing particularly special or different about how big and wide it was or anything like that. And that was still quite long, but that was 420 odd pages thereabouts, whereas the version I read on my Kindle was 480 pages. Now I don't know where the 60-page difference came from. Not a clue. Was it an abridged version, the one I saw at Waterstones? Is it the size of the font of the writing? I have no idea, because I read it on my Kindle. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting to tell you, because I was interested when I looked. So yes, after that I've just been struggling to get through my books. So I've got a few that I may or may not be carrying on through from this month, April. One of them I'm not sure, and then the others I definitely am. So the one I'm not sure about whether I will have finished reading it yet by the time May comes around is Anne of Windy Willows. I'm planning to read this next after I finish the book I'm currently reading, but just in case I either start it but don't finish it in time or whatever, I'm just in case I'm carrying it through, but we will all find out in my April wrap-up next month as to whether I needed to carry it on or not. So yeah, that's just like a possibility. So the other books that I know I will be carrying through, either because I will start them but definitely won't finish, or because I just know I won't get to them, because there's 3 books on this little pile of continuations. And that is Gentianos, A Match in the Making. This is book 1 in the Matchmaker series. I just really want to get to this during the spring months, because like I said in my last TBR video, I mean, it's just so springy. I just want to read it, and it's supposed to be funny, and I could do with a light-hearted read. I'm always into that, so I want to read that. The next one is one I'm carrying on because I just want to get it done, sort of thing. And that is Erin Mangum's The Broken Branch. This is just a standalone, and yeah, this is not necessarily trauma, but it's grief-based. It's a grief-based book, because in the blurb, the girl loses her dad. And obviously, if you've been around here long enough, you've probably heard me mention a couple of times that my dad passed away in July. So I'm hoping to read this and cathartic, maybe, or maybe it'll just make me into more of a slump. I don't know. So part of it is because of that. I'm like, do I want to read it? But I do kind of want to read it. So we will see. If I end up not reading it in May, I will just leave it for now, and I will get to this at some point. I'm not going to like discard it completely, because I do want to read it and try this author out as well. Yeah. It's not high on my priority list. The next one is the last one that I'm going to carry on through, and the last one I'm going to carry through from April is An Echo in the Darkness by Francine Rivers. This is book 2 in the Mark of the Lion series. And I was initially going to read this for Katie's Spring Into the Movies readathon, because he needed a big book, shall we say. I think it was 400 plus pages. So yeah, this one definitely counts for that one. But at some point this month I do want to read that as well, because I have found that I think I need something a bit more engaging, less relaxed. And when I say relaxed, I mean a lot of the historical fictions that I have been reading, they've not exactly been, not that they've not been entertaining, because they have. I've enjoyed them, the ones I've read, but I need something a bit more exciting, a bit more either like fantasy or adventurous, action sort of books. So I kind of want to read a few more of those, and certainly if it's anything like the first book, An Echo in the Darkness seems to cover that sort of genre. So I'm hoping that will help me a bit with my little slumpy sort of burnout sort of thing. Okay, so now that I've done all of my carry-ons, or carryovers, however you want to phrase it, let's go on to the books that I am planning to do for this month. So I'm going to start with the ones that I definitely need to get to, because they are specific books. And that is mainly Santel's A Year of Maud challenge, and that is to read a select amount of Ellen Montgomery's books, specifically most, if not all, of the Anne of Green Gables series, but also doing a few of her other books. And this month in May coming up, we are still on the Anne series. So the next book that we will be getting to is Anne's House of Dreams. So yeah, and this is again quite a spring cover, maybe more summer, but again, it's still good book cover. So yeah, I'm hoping to get to that. If you've seen my thumbnail, I have a lot of books. Yeah. Okay, so the next book that I'm going to get to is for Alma's Journey Through Time challenge. And this is specifically for the decade prompts. And I say prompts because she has 2 sections. She's got centuries, which is like 20th, 19th, etc. And then decades, which is like the 1920s, 1930s, etc. So in May, we are in the 1950s. And I'm choosing to go by, if I can, as much as possible, published books in those decades. So I have chosen, because it's free on Kindle Unlimited, Another Poirot book by Agatha Christie, and this is the book Mrs. McGinty's Dead. Kind of a similar title to the first book of hers that I read, because it tells you who was murdered in the title, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. There we go. Can't talk tonight. It could be because it's like nearly 12:30 at night. Could be that, maybe. I'm hoping to go to bed after filming this. But anyway, so I'm hoping to get to this. So those are my official prompts that I am going to do. Now, to stick with Alma's readathon, or yearly challenge, the next prompt for her centuries section of her challenge is the 1600s or the 17th century. And that's kind of like the Georgians for us in England / Britain. That is like during the Georgian era, you know, the King Georges and stuff like that. Certainly like the King George the First maybe, or like before him. Anyway, that sort of era. So I've been struggling to find anything, and I know, I can't remember who it was, but one of you lovely fellow booktubers who have seen my videos has mentioned the third book in the Timeless series, which I don't have. I'll put a picture up. I can't remember what it's called either. By Gabrielle Meyer. And that one is set, because there's different timelines, that one is partially set in the late 1600s. So I'm aware of that. However, I've only read the first book, and I have decided to put the sequel on, book 2, and I'll show you that in a minute. But because of that, I'm not 100% sure if I will get to the third book to fulfill that prompt. And other than that book, I have found it incredibly difficult to find anything set in the 1600s, because that's what I decided to do. I decided to do separate, different, I can't remember the words, but basically I decided to do the decades in when the book itself was published, and then for the centuries I decided to do when they were set. So they could have been published in like the 2000s, but they would be set in a certain century. So like the 1600s, like I just said, for May. However, I have found that very difficult to find anything set, because I'm trying not to buy more books. Yeah. And I do have books that could be set in the 1600s. The problem is I don't know if they are, because they're not specifically marketed or shown to be historical. Certainly specifically historical for a certain time period. You know, like how some authors, you know who they are, you know, they generally do historical fictions in a certain era, for example. So like Georgette Heyer, if you've heard of her, she does mostly, as far as I'm aware, Regency sort of era, and that's like the 1800s. So yeah, I don't know who to do, and I can't remember if I did find someone as a possibility. Yeah, okay. So the only book that I thought could possibly be 1600s, but I'm not necessarily going to use it, and that is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna Maguire. This is book 2 in the novella series that I have started. I read the first one a couple of months ago, and this is actually a prequel, so a couple of the characters that you meet in the first book, this is what happened to them when they were in one of those other worlds, before, kind of like before they go to that world, and then whilst they're in that world, before they come back to this orphan school type thing. And the world that they go to, it, from what I can remember, it kind of gave me like Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde sort of vibes. Now, I don't think either of those are set in the 1600s, okay? I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying this is, but it's giving me that sort of vibe, so either way, it's a very short book. I mean, look at that, it's a novella. So, it's fantasy, adventure-y. Yeah, other than that, I'm not quite sure what to do for that one. If any of you have any ideas of what you think I might like, I like all sorts of genres. I'm sort of in the mood for something quite engaging and entertaining, you know, like I said, sort of like adventure-y, fast-paced, fantasy type of books right now, or I'm hoping by reading those it'll kind of make me feel a bit better type of thing. So if you have any ideas that are not the third timeless book, because I'm already aware of that one, and I would like to get to it, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to. So other than that one, okay, is there any books you think I might like? Let me know. Anything that it can be published in the 1600s, because Alma said you can mix and match within that section of her challenges. But I am trying to focus on books that are set in those eras. So if you know of any books that are set in the 1600s, 17th century, then please do let me know. I would love to have a look at what you recommend and see if there's anything that I might like. Preferably something I don't have to pay money for, so if you think it's on Kindle Unlimited, that would be fantastic. But don't worry if it's not, because I am willing to spend money. Yeah. We all know it's a problem. I may and may not have spent an abhorrent amount of money at Waterstones when I last went, as you heard me mention. To be fair, I didn't just buy books, but most of them were books. So yeah, that's that. For Oceana's Christian romance one, again, I'll use the ones she just short. So the books like Francine Rivers' Echo in the Darkness, Match in the Making, and The Broken Branch are all Christian fiction. Except 2 books that I haven't shown you yet. So all of those plus the 2 that I will talk about may all fit somewhere in one of Oceana's prompts, and it's possible that I may need to do, if I don't get to one of them and finish one of them, I'll need to do 2 for her challenge for next month in May, for April and May. So yeah, I've got quite a few different options for that. Too many to really go through, because I've got new author, I've got in the series, I've got floral cover, I've got historical. Yeah, that's basically it. Possibly new purchase, but to be fair, what counts as new? Because some of them I've had since like my last birthday, or like the Christmas of 2023. So, you know, yeah. So maybe not that one, but the other ones I've said, certainly. And then Chantel, wait, is that it? Yeah, no, I've done that one. So, yeah. So Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge, May is favourite, and obviously she's just doing one word, so you can use that for anything. It could be favourite book, favourite author, favourite genre, favourite, could be something that's your favourite on the cover of the book, or a topic about something that's something your favourite, you know, whichever. So I think because of how I'm feeling, I'm going to kind of go more towards favourite genre. Now, that doesn't really narrow anything down because I don't really have much of a favourite genre, except I think I'm craving kind of fast-paced type stuff like fantasy and action and adventure, which if I had to pick something from my childhood or the type of genres I would read, those are the types of genres I would read a lot of. And some of them could be historical ones, depending on where it's set type of thing. You know, if it's not like a fictional world or universe or anything. So I've got a lot of options for that, so I will have to see, you'll have to find out with me. Stick around, right, and then see what I say in June as to what I pick for that one, because even I don't know right now. And we've already talked about Alma's. The next one is Katie's Princess Bride-a-thon that's going all year round. And again, I don't really know what I will pick for that. It could be quite a few different types of ones. It could be a fictional place. It could be mistaken identity, but I don't know if that's actually in any of the books. But anyway, but there is one prompt which, depending on whether I finish it in May, I'll use this book for that. But otherwise, there's other books that I can use for other prompts. And I'm planning to start reading in May a poetry book. This is The Goblin Market and Other Poems by Christina Rossetti. This is a little spoiler as to one of the books I recently bought at Waterstones. This is a book of poems, and that is actually one of the prompts in Katie's yearly challenge, and that is Fezzik, book of poetry. So I don't know whether I will finish this in May. I may do, because it is May, pun not intended. It is a short book, so I might end up finishing this in May, but I don't know. But if I don't, I will end up finishing this in June, and I will use it for that. But yeah, I've got that one. I'm planning to possibly read a poem a day, I'm thinking. Okay. The next possibility could be second chance romance. I doubt it, though. I'm not sure, though. I could be wrong. Borrowed book, that is very possibility, Farm Boy, because I'm reading a Kindle Unlimited book, and that technically counts as a borrowed book, because I think you have to give them back if you have a certain amount downloaded, I think, right? You can't download any more after a certain amount, I think. Either way, with Kindle Unlimited, you can give them back, kind of like a library book. So I'm thinking I might use my Poirot book for that. But I do have other Kindle Unlimited books that I might end up reading, so I could always use one of those. Again, we will all just have to find out. Then there's Reader's Choice, obviously, that could be anything. And then there's Adventure Story, which, again, I could use anything for, because that's the kind of genre that I'm going for this month. Sort of. So, yeah, there's a lot of those. Now, for Teresa's, again, there isn't any specific books. The prompt that I'm going with this month is coffee and sweets. And now she said some of these prompts are more like activities, and obviously this one sounds like it probably is more of an activity. However, I did think I could use it as a book prompt. I could do it for something that is a book I enjoy, like my favourite sweets and coffee or hot drink, if you're not into coffee. Or it could have something like food and drink on the cover maybe, or topic. It's like if you like your food cozy mysteries, I know there's coffee and sweet ones for those, so that could always count for that if you wanted. Or you could just use it as an activity prompt and, take a picture of yourself having a coffee and a sweet treat whilst you're reading your book, sort of thing. So I've got a few options I could do for that. Again, I'm not sure, and we will all just have to find out. So yeah, that's the problem with my challenges for this month. Other than the ones that I've talked about where I do have specific books, the rest are all kind of up in the air, and even I don't know. So yeah, so that's that one. So now that I've gone through those, I'm going to go through the books that I might end up reading this month. And I'm going to start with the ones that I may end up reading this month on my Kindle. These are the ones I already have, but I might end up reading other ones. So the ones that I'm not going to show you, but you may remember me talking about, is the Melanie Cellier fairy tale retelling series, which is the Four Kingdoms, or at least the original series is. And I could always continue with those. I've read the first 3 books so far, but I didn't get a chance to read any for the past month or 2. Yeah, 2, for the past 2 months. So I could always read one of those because I've really enjoyed them. They're usually pretty short, ish, kind of like average short. So I could always read one of those. Another one I could always end up reading is a thriller by Ruth Ware, who is a British author, if you're wondering. I didn't know that until I saw a mystery documentary on Agatha Christie, and that is the book One by One. I can't remember where I picked this up. I think I may have gotten it on BookBub, I think. So I think I may have got it either really cheap or free. The next book that I may end up reading on here in another Kindle Unlimited book, and that could be The Village by Caroline Mitchell. I can't remember the synopsis right now, but I know that when I first read the synopsis, when I looked it up, it sounded really interesting. Again, this is a thriller, so I may end up reading that. And I was thinking thrillers as the sort of, could be fast-paced. So yeah, I could read one of those. That one is a Kindle Unlimited book, so again, that could always fulfill the prompt that I was talking about for borrowing a book. So yeah, that's my Kindle Unlimited books that I will talk about as possibilities. Could it just be only those? Of course not. It could be other books that I might end up reading other than those. But those are the ones that I've shown and talked about that are certainly sort of possibilities. Now, the rest of my books are all physical. Oh dear. Other than the ones that I've already talked about, are physical books that I am either carrying through or are specific books that I need to get to for the Year of Maud, like Anne's House of Dreams. My physical books that I'm hoping to get to are books like this one, which is by the way, an adult fantasy, portal fantasy book novella. This is the second one / prequel, as you know, I've already told you. And then one of my local supermarkets, Tesco, has a little book area where you can leave donations and pick books. And I think you can probably leave books as well. And so I saw this book. Yeah. Everyone's talking about it again. What with the new book that's just come out. And I'm not going to lie, even before it actually came out, I have been thinking about rereading it. Because I've read the first 2 books in the Hunger Games trilogy, started the third book, and then did not finish it. Because it was a bit slow, and I was a bit young, I wasn't interested in a slow book. So yeah, I'm thinking of rereading / continuing with the series. I also picked this up because of the whole slumpy thing, and even though this is quite thick, I know these are really good books. I really enjoyed them. I enjoyed the movies, and they're fast-paced. Again, the writing is very big with lots of spaces, so I'm hoping if I read this, that will help me get out of my little mini slump. I may not get to it, but I would like to. The next book that I'm thinking I might get to is The Binding by Bridget Collins. This sounded really interesting. I've had it on my to buy list for months. This is about a bookbinder apprentice. He crafts books basically, but you can use it to forget things, like secrets or just bad memories, things like that. And basically at some point he finds a book that has his name in it. And apparently someone called Tracy Chevalier. Sorry, I can't do names, especially if they're Frenchy sort of non-easy books names to read. Apparently she said it's a rich gothic entertainment. So I like my gothic books. Yeah, it's a backlist title, I think. I think it came out recently. It's not a very old book. Yeah, so the paperback was 2019, so... Oh, it just says first published in 2019 as well. Oh, okay, so I assume it was just generally printed in 2019. So yeah, it's not new, but it's not old either. So that's a book I might end up getting to. This next book isn't really a thriller necessarily. It might be, but it's definitely literary fiction, and that is My Husband by Maud Ventura. I've seen a few people talk about this and really enjoy it. This is a translated work, I think, if I remember correctly from what the other people said. I think it's a French author. Maybe? Does it tell me? Oh, it's published in the US. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's French. So first published in France in 2021. So yeah, it sounds really good. I think it's an unreliable narrator as well. I think it's someone who is basically obsessed with her husband. So yeah, and I think it's kind of like a stream, I think what they call a stream of consciousness. I don't really know what that means. I may have read that before, I may not have done. But it's all in her point of view, the wife. I don't know whether you know her name or not. You might not know her name. But yeah, they thought it was really good, so I thought I'd give that a try. It's also a short book. The writing's quite big. I mean, it's not exactly difficult to read in that respect. So yeah, how many? Here we go, the epilogue. Yeah, so it's 256 pages. So yeah, less than 300. I'd say that's a short book. So yeah, that's another possibility. The next possibility is another book by one of my favourite authors, and that is The Midnight Palace by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. He's a fantastic author, again, translated works. He's a Spanish author, or was a Spanish author, because he passed away. This is a dual timeline one as well, and I think this is young adult, or like older, middle grade. So yeah, this dual timeline is set in 1916 and 1932. A lot of his books are historical, and a lot of them are kind of like gothic, adventure, sort of action, kind of fantasy-esque, because they're gothic, a lot of them have kind of those fantastical elements. Yeah, I don't really know much about this. He's basically an autobiography author for me. I don't really know much about it, but again, it's a short book. I love his books, so that should be a good book to read. The next book as a possibility is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I've heard good things about this one. This is a duology, and this is the first book. I didn't buy the second one. I can't remember if I saw the second one when I bought this. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But this is, again, that sort of fantasy. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's a dark, lush, gothic fantasy debut, apparently. So we'll have to see about content. This is I think they call it like a, kind of like a fairy tale-esque sort of book. Yeah, I don't think it's based on any fairy tales. I don't think it's a retelling as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong. And she does have some sort of cloak that's red. But I don't think it's based on Little Red Riding Hood or anything like that. I could be wrong though, I don't know. But yes, there is magic in this. I don't know what it is. If I remember correctly, I think it might be to do with cards. Kind of like tarot cards. It might not be tarot cards, but it's certainly based on that. So we'll have to see how I go on with this, because I'm always a bit uncertain with magic stuff. Being a Christian, I don't feel comfortable with it necessarily. So we'll have to see. But yeah, apparently it's supposed to be really good, and hopefully it'll be sort of fast-paced maybe. But I'm not sure. Either way, I like the cover though. I like the whole shiny silver, is it gold? I can't tell. In some lights it looks gold, other lights it looks silver. You tell me, is it gold or silver? It's like that dress again, isn't it? Is it black and blue or gold and white? Yeah. Is it black and blue? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So the last book that is secular, because there's only 2 other Christian books on my TBR pile of possibilities. So this last secular book is a study in drowning by Ava Reid. Again, I've been wanting to read this for a long time as well. I've had this on my to buy for months as well. This seems to be more like a mystery sort of thing. Sounds like there's some magical stuff as well, maybe, or at least maybe they think there is. I don't know if there actually is. It might just be like a gothic novel where you think it could be magic, but there isn't. So I don't know. But apparently it's really good. I don't know. Again, because it's secular author, I don't know, about content. So yeah. I mean, the first line of the blurb is kind of what drew me in initially. And that was, Effie has always believed in fairy tales. And yeah, I was kind of pretty much sold on that the first time I read that. But yeah, it sounds interesting. It sounds like, what do you call it, dark academia sort of book. I don't know if it is, but either way, I'm hoping it will help me out of my, whatever this is, slump, depression type thing. I don't know. Either way. Either way. My last 2 books are both Christian fiction. The first one is, of course, In This Moment by Gabrielle Meyer, and this is book 2 in the Timeless series. Now, if you remember earlier, I was talking about how the 3rd book would fit in with Alma's centuries prompt for May, which is the 17th century, 1600s. But obviously, I need to read book 2 first, because you do need to read them in order. You can't, just skip one. Because if I could, I would have done that, but I can't. So yeah, this is book 2. This follows the daughter of the... All of you watching will have read the first one by now, right? Well, anyway, this is set in 1861, 1941, and 2001. She's liking her wartime ones, isn't she? 1861, the main character is the daughter of a senator on the outbreak of Civil War. Ooh. In 1941, she's a Navy nurse, and in 2001, she is a young medical student, fulfilling her dream of becoming a surgeon. Ooh. So yeah, these are all, again, Christian fiction. I enjoyed the first one, so I'm hoping to enjoy the second one. I'm hoping I'm going to like the main character a bit better than I did in the first book. I liked the main character in the first book. I just at times I found her a bit frustrating and annoying. But I did like her. Again, her ages are the same or very similar to the character in the first book. So she has to pick one of the lives by the time she turns 21. So yeah. That's book 2 in the Timeless series. And then the last book, which is also a Christian fiction, is Secrets in the Mist by Morgan L. Bussey. This is in the Sky World duology, and this is book 1. I've got book 2 downstairs. I did wonder about adding that on as well in case I end up liking this one and deciding to read them both. But I decided not to. But that might end up happening, I don't know. That's if I get to this one as well. And this is, again, like a fantasy sort of steampunky type of book. Again, I'm thinking it's got adventure in it. Probably action, because they're usually hand in hand, let's be honest. But yeah, apparently there's something lurking in the mist. But apparently that's the least of their worries. But yeah, thought there might be 2 povs, because on the blurb it's talking about a woman or a young girl and a guy So I don't know if it will be Duopov. It's very possible. But yeah, again, pretty short book, but the writing isn't particularly big. It's not small either. I mean, look at that. It's not too bad. But yeah, hopefully, again, I'm hoping it'll be a fast read. So yeah, that's another option. Now, the books I've just mentioned are the ones I've talked about, of course. As we all know, we were all here. But these are not the only books that I might read. There are other books that I couldn't be bothered to pick out because that requires moving things around and it's late. I can't be bothered to do that. So it's possible I may end up reading other books instead of the ones that I have put on my pile of possibilities. But either way, I'm planning to stick to the genres that I've talked about, kind of fast-paced, thrillery, action-adventure, fantasy short books, with the odd historical fiction put in there, and murder mystery in terms of Agatha Christie. So, that's all for tonight. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any book recommendations for any books set or published in the 1600s. Obviously, again, not including book 3 in the Timeless series. Because obviously I am aware of that one, and maybe I'll get to that if I end up finishing book 2. But that one I'm not sure about. So if you have any other suggestions, let me know. I have already looked some up, especially, well, not particularly for Kindle, but just in general. I looked up on Goodreads, books set in the 1600s. And if I remember, some of the titles and pictures did look interesting, but because I don't really know what they're about, I would love to know anything that you guys have enjoyed, or if you're joining in with this challenge, with the Journey Through Time challenge that I'm doing, and you're doing the centuries. Let me know what you're doing for the 1600s. If it's published in that era, that's fine too. Let me know what it is. Or if you previously read something from either of those, published or set, then let me know, because I kind of trust your judgment, / I don't mind trying something that you guys enjoy. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I apologise that I've been very vague about what books are for what prompts, but we're all just going to have to live with that, myself included. But hopefully some of those will at least fit some of the prompts that I'm hoping to fulfill. I was thinking of joining in with a May challenge that is being hosted by Maddie from This Bookish Cottage, and kind of like a murder mystery sort of one, but you don't have to read murder mysteries. But they have all these prompts and group prompts as well, and I really wanted to join in, but I don't think I should be joining in with any challenges or readathons for this month, other than what my yearly ones that I'm doing, because I think I just need to give myself that break, because I think part of it is also having a TBR. I have only started doing TBRs basically since you started seeing me on YouTube. I've only been doing them since I've started doing them for like readathons in this silly, and then also the yearly challenges for this year. Normally what I've done in previous years, I've basically just picked up a book and read it, and then picked up another book when I finished that book. So I never really had any sort of preconceived ideas necessarily, other than maybe, oh, there's a book that takes my fancy, I want to read that next, sort of thing. So I never really had anything like, oh, I want to read seasonally, so I want to read spring books or summer or winter, or anything like that. I would just read whatever took my fancy. So I think that's kind of been part of the struggle as well. I'm not used to having that sort of, well, it's not, oh, what's the word? I can't think of the word. But like, kind of like feeling trapped, like I have to read these books. And obviously, I know realistically, I don't have to read the books that I pick out. I know that I can change them out and all of these other things. But I'm the sort of person where if I pick something out, I want to stick to it. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's been part of the reason. It's not the whole reason, but it's part of it. So yeah, there we go. So now that I've over-explained things unnecessarily, I am going to leave and go to bed. So, thank you for watching. Let me know what you're hoping to read in May. Any challenges or readathons that you're hoping to do. And let me know any of your recommendations for anything set or published in the 1600s/17th century. It's the same one, but it's just, yeah. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you'll have a lovely weekend, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.